Dear students of BA Part 1, Part 2 and Part 3, at first a very warm morning to all of you. Today, since this class is devoted or this class is made for the students of all the three parts, that means part 1, part 2 and part 3. Through this channel or through this YouTube or through this video, I have a great mind to welcome you people all to this class. Dear students, through some comments or through some calls, I noticed that some of you want to discuss a very important thing, particularly for understanding the poetry, that is the rhetoric or figures of speech. Some of the students have called me upon and have requested me to discuss this term, that is figures of speech, and to discuss some of the important or much used, or you can say the regular figures of speech which are always used in literary works, mostly in poetry. Upon their request, today I have decided to do something. I have decided to drive this very figures of speech home to you people, so that you might develop the art of comprehending, the art of understanding the poem in a better way, in a fine way, in a pleasant way. So dear students, what do we mean by figures of speech? What is it? What is its role in the world of literature, mostly in the field of poetry? What role does it play? What for these things are used? What are they and how are they used? And why are they used? Why the poet mostly uses them in their poetry? Dear students, a figure of speech or rhetorical figure is an intentional deviation from ordinary language chosen to produce a rhetorical effect. Once again, I should read out these lines to you people. A figure of speech or rhetorical figure is an intentional deviation from ordinary language chosen to produce a rhetorical effect. Now, if you hear, if you go through this particular definition of figure of speech, naturally your curiosity is going to lit up to know what is rhetoric. The term rhetoric means the art of using language so as to persuade or influence others. Persuade, लुभाना, प्रभावित, influence, प्रभावित करना. Influence to whom? Or influence whom? To influence the readers, so that they might read, they might go for reading the particular poem with lit up curiosity, with utmost curiosity. So the term rhetoric means the art of using language so as to produce or influence others. Speech or writing calculated to persuade others is done through devices labeled as figures of speech. Speech or writing calculated to persuade others is done through several devices, either in speech or in writing. This means figures of speech are used both in speech, while we make speech, and at the same time in writing. You know, any language has two forms. The first one is the spoken form, that you can say speech form, and the other form, or the second one, is the written form. And this rhetoric or figures of speech is used in both the forms, and it is done intentionally. It is a calculated effort. It is a calculated device. Calculated, that means intentional, done deliberately. It does not happen on its own, कि हो गया, अपने आप हो गया, अनजाने में, unknowingly. No, it is done intentionally, it is done deliberately, it is a calculated effort on the part of the writer, on the part of the poet, and the very purpose of this is to influence, is to persuade, or to persuade the readers, or to make the words or poems or creation more powerful, more effective, more impressive. With the help of figures of speech, a writer or a speaker transfigures the flatness and plainness of day-to-day prosaic utterance and makes the language more graphic and vivid. More graphic, clear-cut, clear, more graphic. At the same time, vivid, transparent, clear. And what are made more graphic and vivid? The flatness and the flatness and plainness. Flatness and plainness of day-to-day prosaic utterances. Prosaic, gadhyatmak, just like prose. Utterances or sayings. The speech becomes pictorial. The use of figures of speech makes the flat, plain, and often prosaic utterance more graphic, more vivid, more pictorial, more effective, more powerful. The figure The figures of speech make the speech more forceful and pointed. When a writer deploys rhetorical devices, he makes an intentional deviation from the ordinary mode for producing the intellectual and emotional effects on the audience much required for persuading them to concur with the point of view. Figurative language is not mere embellishment but becomes a fine tool for making expressions crisp, witty, and poetic, all rolled into one. So, the very use of figures of speech removes the flatness of a statement. It removes its plainness. It increases its potency, its smoothness. It makes the statement or the saying more powerful, more effective, more pointed, more forceful, more impressive. It is done deliberately. It is done intentionally, and the very purpose of this is not to embellish. However, it embellishes. The use of figures of speech embellishes, but it not only embellishes outwardly, rather it embellishes the poem inwardly also. It makes the meaning more powerful. It enhances the power and potency of that particular line, of that particular poem, or the particular for that particular context in which something has been used. So figurative language is not mere embellishment. केवल सजावट ही वो नहीं है. Is not mere embellishment but becomes a fine tool, एक औजार, fine tool for making expressions crisp, witty, poetic, all rolled into one. Figures of speech. Dear students, I have told you, or I have discussed with you, perhaps I must have discussed with you while trying to do with some poem, that we have two types of meaning, particularly in a poem. You know the fact very well that poetry is a coded language, and if we want to understand, if you want to comprehend a particular poem in a nice way or nicely, we have to decode it. And the process of decoding is not so easy. As in literature, or particularly in poem, we have two types of meanings, or the meaning has two levels, you can say. One is denotation and the other is connotation. Denotation, denotation, Connotation, connotation. Denotation is the literal meaning of that particular poem, of that particular word, while connotation is its figurative meaning. You can understand this through this example. If I say to you that the gap between the bread and the butter, the gap between the bread and the butter is very wide, and it must be bridged up. Once again, I should repeat the line. The gap between the bread and the butter is very wide, or has gone wide, and it should be bridged up. Now this statement or this saying can be understood in two ways. It gives you two meanings. Now first come and see its denotative meaning. The gap means antar between the bread and butter, रोटी और मक्खन के बीच दूरी बढ़ गई है, जिस पर कि पुल बना देना चाहिए, जिस दूरी को खत्म कर देना चाहिए, जिस दूरी को मिटा देना चाहिए. You might have seen the bridges which are constructed upon a river. When you have to cross a river without a bridge, it's very tough. It's very time taking. You have to wait for the boat, for the ship. You might have to travel on foot. It takes time. It consumes time. It eats into your potential or vitality rather. The journey becomes tiresome. But if there is a breeze there, you have not to wait, either for the ship or for the boat or for any vehicle. You can cross it in few minutes. तो द गैप रोटी और मक्खन के बीच जो दूरी है वो दूरी बहुत ज़्यादा हो गई है, उस दूरी को खत्म कर देना चाहिए, उसको मिटा देना चाहिए. And now see the connotative meaning, see the connotation. Here the bread stands for the poor and the butter stands for the rich. Now the meaning of this line becomes crystal clear. You can easily understand what does the writer, what does the author, what does the poet wants to say through this statement, that the gap between the bread and butter has got widened and it should be bridged up. It means the gap that is high, the gap between the poor and the rich have widened and it should be bridged up. It means there should not be any gap between the bread and the butter. This is the very thing that the author, that the poet wants to deliver, wants to say, wants to communicate with his readers. How we came to know? It is not written there. So, while understanding a particular poem or particular line, sometimes we have to read between the lines. It means what that is not written there, we have to try to go for that. We have to try, or we have to try to find out that particular thing which the poet wants to communicate with his readers here. And there the figures of speech come very handy. They make the process more clear, more easy. Figures of speech, alankar. In Sanskrit, it is said, alam karoti iti alankara. Alam karna, sundar karna, to beautify. Alam, abhushan. Alam jorkar, alankar. You might have seen women, ladies, girls, our mothers and our sisters decorating themselves through different ways. Sometimes using cosmetics, sometimes wearing jewelries, abhushan. The very purpose of there is to beautify themselves. And for that, they put on alankar, that is abhushan. They simply add to their beauty. They increase their glow. Their beauty is increased. In literature, figures of speech perform that very function. They make so the very purpose of the use of figures of speech is to beautify, is to embellish the particular saying by the poet or by the author or by the literary activists, you can say. But the poet uses the figures of speech on two levels. Sometimes, as it is, there is a term in Hindi कि अलंकार्स आर ऑफ टू टाइप्स, दो तरीके के अलंकार होते हैं, शब्दालंकार और अर्थालंकार. It means sometimes the poet uses particular words to increase the effect and the power and the impressiveness of that particular poem or particular line. And through the use of certain particular words, he tries to deepen the meaning of that particular saying or particular words, particular poems. And if you replace that particular word, that impression which it has created earlier dies down. Which means there is no other option. That word cannot be substituted with another word. This is meant by शब्दालंकार कि जब आप शब्दों के माध्यम से एक पार्टिकुलर शब्दों का चयन करते हैं आप, और उन शब्दों के माध्यम से आप किसी कविता की, किसी पार्टिकुलर स्टेटमेंट की गहराई को, उसके अर्थ को आप ज़्यादा पावरफुल बनाते हैं. इफ़ यू मेक इट मोर इफेक्टिव, मोर पावरफुल, मोर इम्प्रेसिव थ्रू the selection of words, of particular words, and those words selected by you can't be dispensed with, they can't be replaced. And the other alankar is arthalankar. Here the poet makes the statement more impressive, more effective by deepening its meaning. So a writer or a poet also embellishes his statement, his poems on two levels: on the level of words and on the level of meaning. The ladies have ornaments to beautify themselves. They have cosmetic items to beautify themselves. The writer too has some ornaments in his stock. He possesses, he keeps some ornaments to make his statement more sharp, more pictorial, more vivid, more clear, more powerful, more pointed, more impressive, more effective. And there are certain figures of speech in English which are often used: similes, metaphor, alliteration, repetition, personification, irony, onomatopoeia, apostrophe, metonymy. These are the common figures of speech, often used one. The poet or the writer makes much use of all these figures of speech to make his statement, to make his saying, to make his poem more effective, more clear, more powerful, more impressive. Suppose you are praising the beauty of a lady, beauty of a girl. You can do it in two ways: in a literary way or in a figurative way. If you say simply, "Oh, that girl is very beautiful. She is very beautiful. She has awesome beauty." But if you say, if you say, "Oh, she has got a very marvelous face, she has got a very beautiful face, her face is very beautiful," but if you speak about her face this way, कि her face is like the moon, she is the moon, as we have in song, a chand sa roshan chehra. Of course, the poet here says, the writer says, the lyricist says here, he is simply telling about the glow that is there upon the face of that particular lady. He is talking about that particular girl, that particular heroine. That particular heroine he is talking about. ये चांद सा रोशन चेहरा. चेहरा कैसा है भैया? उतना ही लाइटेड है, उतना ही रोशन है, उसी के जैसा है जैसा कि चांद. जुल्फों का रंग सुनहला. Means the color of her hair, her locks is golden one. Again or further he says, ये झील सी नीली आंखें. Eyes are bluish as the lake, as the water of the lake. और कोई राज है इनमें गहरा. तो सी, if you speak, if you try to express the beauty of a particular lady in such a way, that is the connotative use. It is the figurative use. It makes the meaning more powerful, more pleasant. It helps the reader enjoy the lines. The readers relish going through such lines. The meaning becomes pictorial. The meaning becomes graphic, which can easily be understood. So, in my next video or in my next class, you can say, I will discuss some of the very important or much used figures of speech, as I have mentioned to you, like simile, metaphor, alliteration, climax, anticlimax, personification, apostrophe, metonymy, irony, one by one, so that you might have the very understanding of these figures of speech, so that when you go through some literary work, a particular poem, you can say, you can keep your eyes open and understand that particular poem in a better way. You can enjoy that particular poem. You can relish that particular poem. And one thing I want to clear here, that figures of speech are used not only in poetry, it is also used in the field of prose also. And if it is used more in prose, that prose becomes poetic prose, you can say. And sometimes when prose makes entry, makes inroad in the field of poetry, we say this poetry is prosaic poetry. So just you should wait for the another video, which I will try to upload within 3 or 4 days. Till then, please listen to this video. Try to read the other things which you have to read. Go on preparing yourself for the coming examination. Examinations are knocking at the door, you can say. The date can be announced at any time. And as I think none of the students is going to be promoted, this means the students of BA Part 1, Part 2 and Part 3 in all the universities have to write their papers, have to appear at their examinations, and it would be better for them. So prepare yourself, go all out. At the same time, take care of yourself also, take care of your family, take care of the society, abide by the rules and regulations in this pandemic period. Just be a patriot, love your nation, help your nation, remain happy and healthy. Thank you. God bless you all.